All right, hello everyone. I wanted to do a market breakdown, a little bit of a financial analysis of some of the stuff that we brought in over the week. If you haven't watched the mail day videos, kind of go back and check them out the week of June 10th and on. So I brought in kind of one of each box that arrived throughout the week, and I wanted to talk about how I'm prioritizing some of the purchases. First thing is I don't use like a set list. I'm not just looking for one box or two boxes. I have a long list of priorities, and those priorities are kind of governed by two factors. One is the expected value of the set divided by the price. So basically how much of your retail price are you going to recoup if you were to open the packs, which I'm not opening the packs, and the second is, how is that expected value distributed? Is this a set like Prophecy, where the expected value is almost $300, but every last penny of that is in the common slot with Ristic Study? So you get, maybe 3 or 4 Ristic Studies in a box, and then you get a bunch of $5 rares or less. There's only one card other than Ristic Study in Prophecy that's worth more than $5. On the flip side, you have Urza's Saga. Now, Urza's Saga, the expected value is about twice what Prophecy's is, but it sells for 10 times more. So Prophecy's probably a $350 box, and Urza's Saga is pushing $3,200 to $3,500. But all of the value in Urza's Saga is in that rare slot. You're going to get your Gaia's Cradles, your Sarah Sanctums, and only one uncommon that's worth more than $5 in the entire set. So that's kind of the two opposite ends of the spectrums, and I like to find something kind of in the middle. A great example of this right now is going to be Zendikar. Where's Zendikar? There we go, Zendikar. Very iconic set. You've got some of your first edition fetch lands in Zendikar. Your expected value on that is, so it's about if you pay about $700 to $750, your expected value is about 0.47 to 0.5, which is really strong. So compare that with Urza's Saga, where the expected value is 0.19. So you're looking at 3 or 4 times the value, pound for pound, per dollar in Zendikar that you're going to get out of Urza's Saga, which doesn't, like I said, doesn't mean everything, because ultimately Urza's Saga is older. Zendikar is 2009, Saga I think is 99, and more iconic. So you've got bigger reserve list cards in Urza's Saga than you have in Zendikar. Next thing I picked up a lot of is Stronghold. Stronghold and the entire Wrath cycle is very interesting. So Wrath cycles, Exodus, Tempest, and Stronghold. The expected value on a box of Stronghold, the EV to price ratio is 0.45, assuming you pick the box up somewhere in the $1,300 to $1,500 range. It actually has a higher expected value than Urza's Saga, but it's selling for about, a third, or about 0.4 to 0.3 of what an Urza's Saga box is. Really strong expected value, really iconic cards. You have strength in the uncommon slot, you have strength in the rare slot, you have really great reserve list cards, like Mox Diamond, Sliver Queen, obviously, and there's quite a bit of premium to get some of these cards graded. So overall, I think Stronghold in the entire Wrath cycle, probably one of the most undervalued sets and blocks in the entire game. Another box I picked up was Innistrad. Innistrad's kind of a different story. It's obviously first print run for Snapcaster Mage, Liliana the Veil. But the EV is not great. It's the EV to price is about 0.26. I got some really good prices on these. They were included in a trade, so you don't want to necessarily pass it up. It's one of those examples of, this was not the top of my priority, but it was on my radar and the price was right, so I picked up some Innistrad. A couple of the sets that are just outstanding, Mirrodin and Fifth Dawn. Other than the Wrath cycle, I would say the Mirrodin block, original Mirrodin block, is probably the most undervalued block in group of sets. Darksteel, I think, is pretty fairly valued right now at around $800 a box, $700-800 a box. But Mirrodin, I've been picking these up from $400 to $500 lately, And a box of Mirrored in the EV at 500 is about 0.46. And this has some incredible cards. You know, you got to think Chalice of the Void, Chrome Mox, Extra Planar Lens, you know, really, really iconic cards for a box that's only $500 right now. Similarly, Fifth Dawn's even stronger. Actually, Fifth Dawn has the highest expected value in the Mirrored in block. The Fifth Dawn EV at, let's say, $400 to $500 is right around 0.6. Just incredible. I've been picking these up as much as I can in that range. You have just a ton of staples, iconic cards, Staff of Domination, Vidalcan Orrery, Doubling Cube, Crucible of Worlds, Engineered Explosives. I mean, this is the original printing of Engineered Explosives. I mean, there's a lot of great, great things in here. It should not be selling for, you know, $400 or $500 or $550 or even $600 or $700. This should probably be like a $700 or $800 box, I think. You know, I'd like to contrast Mirage and Stronghold a little bit for a second. So I picked up this Mirage box, which is just, I love this box because it's not a standard wrapper. Usually you have the Wizards of the Coast logo. You usually have white for US printing, black for Belgium printing. But there are some Belgium variants that have this symbol here that showed up in a lot of Cartamundi products back in the 90s. So Mirage is interesting, as a lot of people know. You know, Rudy did a video saying that these things are going to $2,000 a box, and maybe he's right, but I'd have to say the fundamentals on this box are really not that strong when you compare to, you know, Stronghold or, you know, even as a Saga, I think. So the EV to price ratio on Mirage is 0.22. And the big hitter here is obviously Lion's Eye Diamond, which, I mean, there's a lot of uses for it, but I've always felt that one's a little bit gimmicky. Obviously, iconic reserve list. But then the rest of the value is being held up by the tutors. There's, you know, been a lot of inflation on tutors. And I don't know if Mirage really should be pushing $1,500 to $2,000. I think $1,000 to $1,200 is really the sweet spot. I'd want to see things like Stronghold, Wrath Cycle, Mirrored in Block appreciate a lot. Even Visions. Visions has almost the same EV as Mirage, and it's you know, half to third of the price. So kind of some interesting things there. Another box I got in was Cold Snap. Love Cold Snap. Not a ton of like real big hitters, but this is kind of a happy medium between the Prophecy and Urza Saga Stronghold, where the EV on Cold Snap is about 0.6 to 0.7. I mean, just a really, really strong EV, a lot of value in the common slot or uncommon slot. Foils have a nice premium, so really, really high EV set here. Next, obviously, I picked up a couple boxes of Alliances. I just love this set. You can't have enough of them. Something to keep in mind with Alliances when you're talking about value per slot is that there's 45 packs in a box of Alliances. They had 12 cards per booster, and they had 45 boosters per box. Alliances is interesting. It's held up by Force of Will for the most part. That's an uncommon at over $100. Then you have Helm of Obedience and a few other, you know, Lake of the Dead, of course, at $40. Helm of Obedience at about $20. Overall, you have the uncommon slot kind of holding up Alliances, and Force of Will is iconic, but it's not iconic on the level of like a Gaia's Cradle or something like that. So I think there's kind of a ceiling on Alliances, unless a rare really pops and something on the reserve list. I think, you know, that $1,000 price point's kind of where you're going to see it. I think it hit kind of a hard ceiling at $1,500, unless you saw other things like, you know, if Mirage did go to $2,000 and Stronghold went to $3,000 or something like that, then you'll see Alliances pop to $2,000 or so. But as it stands, I think Alliances is kind of where it's supposed to be. Next up, I picked up a box of Revised. Always love Revised. It was the most iconic set when I started playing. A set that I've loved since day one. Can't get enough of it. You know, a little bit dinged up, but really a quality box overall. Revised, for being as iconic and old and rare as it is, has a really strong expected value. So a Revised box is sitting at about 0.25, so the EV to overprice ratio of about 0.25, which when you compare that to, let's say, 4th edition, which has a ratio of like 0.15. So you're looking at considerable better EV to price ratio in a box of Revised. I think the problem is for a lot of people you know, $5,000–6,000 is just not feasible. At any EV, it could be 100% EV, and you know, a lot of people just can't swing that much cash. So I love to pick these up. I am going to be doing a box break of this one. It's going to be in the Facebook group. I'll mention that in the comments below. So if you want to get a guaranteed unsearched, untampered with booster pack of Revised, you know, I live stream unsealing the box. I put all the boosters in envelopes and ship them out. So look at the Facebook group. Hit me up if you're interested in that. All right, and that is all we have for today. I really appreciate everyone checking it out. Like I said, this is just kind of an overview. Some of the things I was thinking as I picked up some of these lots over the week. Please go check out the box opening videos. I do add a little bit more commentary about how the deal happened, if it happens to be an interesting situation, you know, some of the packing, shipping tips, stuff like that. So, all right, thanks everybody. And also, if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Bye.